Thank you. Good afternoon. Great to see everyone. I'm excited. It's November, so we're excited. I don't really have much to say besides I really like where we are. I think these exhibition games that we're playing one tomorrow, are really good. You know, it's a time the players get to get under the lights, get the jitters out, all that, just get used to having people back in the stands because I hope people are going to come. And, you know, just get one under their belt before we really tip it off. So I'm excited about tomorrow. As long as we stay healthy, I'm really optimistic about the season.
Hey, Jeff White, VirginiaSports.com. Coaches have several options in the preseason as far as 2 scrimmages or exhibition. Is this something you did at Missouri State as well?
Yes. It's pretty much everywhere I've been, to be honest. But at Missouri State, we had to do it. We had to do 2 exhibition games. We couldn't do. Our fan base wanted to see more of us, and that's what it required there. But I like to have a closed scrimmage where you can work on things. Nobody's in the gym. You can set up situations. You can do different stuff like that. But then, like I said, I love the fact that we get to get under the lights in front of fans and play a game. I mean, we know it doesn't count. We know it's a Division II team. I don't really care about that. But we prepare the same way for everybody. So we're doing a scouting report on them just like we would do for anybody. So now they're learning how we prepare for games. So I just like the trial run before we actually do it.
Greg Madid, Daily Progress. Hey, as far as your depth goes, do you have an idea of how many deep you want to be this season? Will that fluctuate throughout the year? How do you kind of envision the depth playing out?
Yeah, I mean, it's still early, but I would love to be 11 deep. We have 11 on roster, and I think, I see people stepping up in practice every day and doing things well. But I'm not really going to put a number on it. I need to see how people flourish in my system and also when the lights are on. It's easy to say somebody's killing in practice, and then you get in the game and maybe there's a little stage fright or whatever. So I want to see how we do. And I'm not somebody that predetermines lineups, predetermines rotations. I kind of go on feel. If you're producing, you're going to play. And that's kind of the way we've been, handling things since I've been here.
Jackie Franchuli, Wahoo's 24/7. What's been the buy-in like for this team? I know you were doing grind now, shine later. What is kind of the buy-in from the team from that?
They're bought in. Honestly, from probably the first workout we had when I got hired, I felt like the buy-in was there. I thought just outside looking in, I was going to come in and have to, teach them how to work hard and, without knowing them, get the energy and effort there, things like that. But honestly, when I got here, they were working hard. They were competing. They want to win. And it was made it a lot easier just to coach the tactical things rather than, have to convince people to work hard. Now we did have to change the mentality, to a winning mentality and not being okay with losing and things like that. So they bought into the way that I plan practice and workouts, which is everything. There's a winner and a loser to every drill. Even if it's a shooting drill, no matter what it is, there's going to be somebody that wins. And then if you don't win, there's probably a consequence, So they bought into that. And I think that trickles over to, practice when you start scrimmaging and then games, there's an expectation to win. So yes, we had to do that, but from day one, I think they've been really receptive.
Hey Coach, Luke Neer, UVA women's basketball play-by-play. Could you talk about the journey of building cohesiveness? Because we might look at the roster and say, oh, you've got these returners, but Cameron set out for a good deal of last year. You've got Sam who's new. You've got freshmen. Tell me about building cohesiveness, because we might not be thinking about that, but I'm sure that was a big part of the preseason. Can you expand?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it starts on an individual basis, just building relationships with each player, spending time investing in them, understanding their journey, their families, all that, building trust, really. And then also putting them in positions where they can build that together. So a lot of team bonding, a lot of exercises where we put them in, positions to give and take constructive criticism, to learn each other, understand everybody comes from all walks of life. So just building that camaraderie and that synergy within us off the court, and then on the court, just mixing up teams. Like, a lot of coaches just put their starters out there and then everybody else. Well, I mix up the teams every day. So they go against different people. They got to play with different people because that's what happens in a game. Once we start playing, we'll get a little bit more rhythm with who's starting and things like that. But just constantly making them, talk to different people and not, just kind of being a clique with who they want to be has helped that. And then, that trickles onto the court. And that's how we play. Like, even on the defensive side of the ball, it's based on our family culture and having each other's back, help side, things like that. So everything kind of tying in. I think it's just about what kind of culture do you want to be in, and like what kind of environment do you want to build, and that's what I started doing from day one. So the emphasis has been on culture. That's why you saw shirts. I know you said the grind now, shine later shirts, but you saw the culture win shirts, because I truly believe that. And that's a journey that's going to continue, through the course of the season, probably even years. It's a kind of an evolution. You just start to, the foundation of it and get people to buy in, but there's going to be times where you have to go back to the drawing board and maybe just do an activity where people understand that it's not always going to be great. There's going to be some adversity. There's going to be hard times, but we're going to get through it together.
Coach Preston Willett with CBS 19. Going off of that, when you got here, Cameron had been away from the program for a little bit, obviously dealing with a lot going on in her personal life. What was it like getting her back in and just kind of meeting her and kind of knowing her situation and just kind of getting her back into the mix of things? Yeah,
I mean, I love them all, but with Cam, I definitely have a connection with her, having dealt with some of the things that she's dealt with. So just kind of meeting her where she was at and not forcing her to, speed up her process or anything, and just understanding her background and what she's going through. I think that went a long way with her, and just showing her love. I think myself, my staff, we've invested in all of them, and they truly know that we care and have their back. So it was a process in the beginning, just getting her back into things. She had been away for a while, so I didn't want to throw her back into basketball right away. We got her in strength conditioning, got her stronger, got her, back in shape and things like that. So, but she's thriving now. I think Cam's playing well. I think she's confident. I think she's, just such a tremendous teammate. She's always encouraging her teammates. She's the first one to give somebody a high five or chest bump, something like that when things happen, or, somebody falls on the floor, she's going to be sprinting over there. So she's really thriving in this culture and, just with her teammates, and she loves them and she's there for them. So that's all you can really ask.
Hey, Coach. Mike Barber from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. When you come over and take over a program, the girls were learning you, you're learning them. How do you identify kind of who the leaders are, and do you have a special relationship or extra time trying to get your message through them? Have you kind of seen that develop here?
Yeah, so I didn't, in the summertime, I was just kind of evaluating everybody and seeing where we were. But when they got back for the fall, I had us vote, the team voted captains. And just the way that it was spread around, we ended up having 4 captains, and I wasn't going to take one away. That's what the team wanted. So now, in order to help some of them have been captains before, some have never been captains before. So we have captains meetings once a week, every week, just to help them with their leadership characteristics and capabilities, and just understanding my message so that they can defend the culture in the to the media and the public, to their their teammates, things like that. And I think that's really helped them, and empowering them too, because that's also what it's about, helping them be leaders, all of them, but especially those because they were voted into that position, and maybe some were surprised by that. So I just want them to walk with that confidence and understand that they do have leadership capabilities and characteristics, otherwise they wouldn't have been voted. So they've been great. But you know what? We also have, I explained to the team too, yes, we have 4 captains, but we have some that weren't voted captains that I think are great leaders. And they've stepped up every day in practice and hold people to standards and understand expectations. And, one is Cam, to be honest. She wasn't voted a captain, but she's one of our leaders. She's one of our emotional leaders and, all around. So I just want to empower all of them that embody those characteristics to use their voice, no matter if they're voted captain or not.
Are you curious to see how that plays out in competition in games, or do you feel like you have a good feel? There's a different leadership, in the locker room, practice, versus as it unfolds on game day?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the leadership piece of that. I think we've kind of established who our leaders are. They've been pretty consistent in stepping up and leading when we need it, and especially when we hit adversity. I try to create as much adversity in practice and pressure situations so that it's not a shock when we get to the game, and you see leaders emerge through that. So I'm not really thinking that that's going to change. Now I'm curious to see who steps up when the lights are on. Yeah, when we're in a game situation, who's playing, who's confident, who's doing what we're supposed to be doing, of course. But I think our leaders have pretty much proven themselves.
Caroline Darney, USA Today for the win. Coach, what has it been like? It's been a little whirlwind, I think, like just getting here, instilling the program that you want to set up. Can you just take us through what it's been like for you, kind of getting used to Charlottesville and setting up a new home and having your coaching staff with you, and what that experience has been like?
Yeah, personally, at first it was crazy because I was in temporary housing for 3 months. So that was, I have a little son and my husband, so that was crazy. But it's also been great because this is my home state, so I've seen a lot of family, and so my on the personal side has been great. Business side has been, really good too. I like I said, I just wanted to get to know the players and really pour into them, build relationships. That's really important to me. I like to have a pulse on them, understand what's going on in their lives, and be there for them. We always talk about things are bigger than buckets, and I truly believe that and live that. So when they're going through things, I want to be able to be there and be a support system. But also the transition was a little bit easier than it was for me at Missouri State because I brought my coaching staff and my strength coach. So there was some continuity there. And, those are people that also understand the culture that I was trying to instill here, defend the culture. They're loyal, great coaches, great people, really are family to me. So that made the transition a little bit easier because I could delegate. And then also there's one message coming from the top. So when we got into workouts and things like that, I didn't have to explain my style of play and system and all that like I did the first time around, or standards or whatever it is. It was just kind of, we picked up where we left off with a different team. So bringing my staff has been a tremendous help. But I think the transition has gone pretty well. I mean, now I'm not really in the whirlwind anymore. That's usually like the first couple of months. You're like trying to move, you're trying to figure everything out, learn everybody, administration, you're trying to learn, now it's November, it's time to play. He did. He was Spider-Man. Yeah. Twice. He had 2 different Spider-Man costumes.
Of course.
So, yeah, he had a great time.
Jerry Ratcliffe, JerryRatcliffe.com. What did it mean to you to get Sam Bernal into your program, not just from a player standpoint, but also having a local presence on the team, and what did she bring to the table?
Yeah, I mean, Sam is a great addition. I said in my press conference, I want to keep the hometown kids home. I think we've done a pretty good job of that so far in recruiting. It's important, especially in a storied program like this. Either they knew as a young child or their parents knew what UVA women's basketball was like and where it's been in the Final Fours and the glory days that we're trying to get back to. So that's why it's important to keep them home, because they understand right away what it means to have that on their chest. So Sam, she was a ball girl here back in the day. Obviously, she's always been a UVA, affiliated with UVA through her parents and all that stuff. So she understands and she takes a lot of pride. And then I think that she's going to bring versatility, obviously, to our offensive side of the ball. She can shoot it, she can really pass it, which allows us to do stuff, especially when they're doubling our post players or things like that. She stretches the defense. But Sam's coming back from injury right now, and a lot of people didn't know that she had a surgery on her shoulder in the summertime. So I expect her to she's got to work her way back in. Missing a summer is a big deal. That's where you really grow. And that's where I saw our players grow the most. We just really dove into individual fundamental development, and, they got a chance to get used to our pace and understand what we're trying to do. And so Sam missed that part of it. And so she's a little bit behind, but I like where she's at. I like where we're at. And, I expect great things from everybody.
Jacob Tisdale, Cav Daily. I was wondering if you could talk about the conversations you've had with Carla White and maybe even Tony Bennett, just key figures in the athletic department, about instilling a winning culture here, and how those key figures have kind of been resources to you as you've adjusted.
Carla who?
Carla Williams.
Oh, Carla Williams. Okay. First of all, I can't say enough about Carla. She is a big reason why I'm here. Again, yes, being a Virginia native, UVA has always been a place or a school I wanted to be a part of, because when I was growing up, it was the Final Fours and the Elite Eights and all that stuff. So, yes, what the history was in this place, but also the resources and facilities and all that is just a no-brainer for me. But Carla's vision for the athletics department for our program was completely in line with mine, and her leadership styles. She's just a phenomenal person. I think she's a tremendous asset for our program, to our players. I constantly are talking to them about nurturing that relationship with her, because she's just a great person to have in their network and on their side. So I just can't thank her enough for her commitment to our program and just allocating all the resources and everything we need to be successful. So she's been great. Tony, same thing. I think Tony's he's like one of the like most awesome people I've ever met. Honestly, he's just so different. And I talk about him as a person more than a coach because I think people don't talk about that as much as they should. He's a phenomenal human being. I'm inspired by like his walk with faith and his commitment to the Lord because I'm a God-fearing woman too. And I love how he puts that into everything he does, you know, and how he grows his young men and his passion for developing the next generation. So we you know, our beliefs and just, you know, philosophies kind of align a lot in that regard. But he's been a great support system. He sits in our practices. We sit in his. He'll send a text like, hey, y'all look good today, or your transition looked good today, things like that. So I just appreciate his support. He's been nothing but supportive since I've been here.
Coach Luke, again, speaking of transition, when you came here, you have Taylor Valladay, who can go up and down the floor. You also have Caden Lawson. They would push last year, but tell me the direction you gave them coming from an offense where you want to get out and run. Can you talk a little bit about molding them because they have the physical attributes?
Yeah, for sure. And they're not the only two, but you know, Taylor is really, really athletic and fast. I mean, she's really going to make us go on that side, and then she brings so much on the defensive side as well. But so I think she was the first one to kind of thrive in that system because she's, we can get out and go. But, you know, all of them have bought into that, and we want to play with pace. That's really important. But organized pace. So it's not just, let's just push the ball and go. We have things that we work on every single day in transition offense so they can understand our options and our lanes and where we're supposed to be running. And, you know, I love versatility, so it's not always going to be Taylor with the ball or KD with the ball. Like, there's different people that are going to be pushing the ball. So we got to understand all the options and what we're looking for. So that's what we've been drilling the most. Getting them to play with that pace was that was the first part, I guess you could say, in the summer. But now understanding what we're trying to do is what we've been focusing on more. So we do that every day. We do that every day. Even in individual workouts, we did it, but in practice, we did it. And I just think we do it. And I think I like what we're doing on the offensive side of the ball. I think, you know, for us playing with the same kind of urgency on the defensive side of the ball is what I'm looking for.
Matt Newton, Cavaliers Now. It's been 6-7 months now since you were hired. Have you had a chance yet to just sit back and reflect on what your experience has been like since you took over the program and just how you've been able to build this program the way you want it so far before you coach your first game?
No. I don't really have a lot of time to reflect, but, you know, I do have time when I'm, you know, praying and talking to God and just, you know, thanking him for the blessings that have been bestowed upon my life and putting me in this position. I truly believe that, you know, everywhere I've been, there was a calling, and there's a reason why. You know, when I went to Missouri State, I was the first ever African-American female coach in any sport in the history of the university. And then, you know, I get there, and then we have all the social and racial unrest and all the things that came about, you know, in 2020. And I truly believe that I was there to impact that community, impact that athletic department, impact that university, my student athletes, all that stuff. So I do believe I'm here for a reason too. So I just thank him for leading me and just always positioning me to be able to impact people and invest and pour into people. So I'm just grateful. I haven't reflected on what I've done here because I'm just not that type of person. I'm just more so grateful and thankful for the opportunity.
With Sam and Mir, you have two former McDonald's All-Americans on your team. How would you evaluate the overall talent level of this group that you have this year?
I think we have a lot of talent. I say that all the time. You know, I didn't really watch UVA women's basketball in recent years or last year. So I saw the win-loss, you know, record, and I knew coming in here, okay, there wasn't a lot of wins last year, but I say it all the time. When I had that first individual workout, my staff and I, we were like, we got talent. You know, we have some talent here. So I was really shocked by that, just based on the record. So I'm excited about the talent we have, but you also have to, you know, get people to play together, buy in, understand, and be able to go do it when the lights are on. So I think we're moving in that direction. It's still early. It's very early. But I love the talent we have, and I love what we're building. And I'm like I said, I'm very optimistic about the season. I know we're going to be significantly better. What that looks like, we'll see. But we definitely have a lot of talent on the roster.
Particularly when you get to ACC play, you're going to be facing teams with bigger front courts. Have you had experience with undersized teams, and what is the key when you're in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, we are a little undersized, I guess, in the post from the center spot. But there's ways to combat that. One, they got to guard us too, but also defensively, we just got to position our players to be successful. So there's different schemes that we'll run. There's different ways we can guard people. I have I'm a little familiar, I guess you could say, with the ACC and competing against some of these teams from last year and previous years. So we weren't always the same size, but we were able to, put a scouting report together that could help us be successful. So that's why, again, exhibition games are really, really good so that our players can understand how we scout and how we prepare for games, because it's always going to be the same. The schemes might be different, but the way we prepare is going to be the same. So that's why I'm excited about them learning that process now. And then by the time we get to conference play, we should be pretty good on that front.
Coach, just when a new coach comes in, obviously a lot of it is about culture and building this program and everything. But what are you most curious to see when y'all hit the court tomorrow, but mainly Monday for the season opener?
Yeah, I mean, starting with tomorrow, I just want to see us play hard. I want to see us compete. I want to see us play together. Those are the things I want to see. Obviously, we don't overlook anybody, but it's an exhibition game. We understand that, but that's not how we're preparing them. We're preparing them like we were preparing for GW on Monday or Wake Forest or whoever that's coming up. So I just want to see us understand and be able to implement the scouting report and do it together, and then have fun while we're doing it. I don't want it to be, a nervous situation or anxiety. I want us to enjoy this journey, because I think, we have some kids that deserve that, and that have the talent and just haven't really been able to showcase that. So I just want to see us put it all together and just compete at a high level.
Any other questions? Coach, you mentioned your staff. Would you like to call them up individually so everybody can get to know who they are? Because I don't know if they thought there was food here and they came in, or...
I didn't even know they were all here. I saw one or two walk in, but they are. Y'all come up here.
Come on up, staff.
Come on up, people.
And if you want to introduce them as they come up so people can put a name to a face, that'd be great.
Sure. All right. First, Tori Jane Koska. She's my assistant coach.
Come on up here.
Behind her is CJ Jones. He's my recruiting coordinator and assistant coach. Next is Elisha Bond, assistant coach. Mariah White, director of recruiting operations. Jasmine Horn, director of operations. Chris Tolan, strength coach. Abby Hip, director of scouting and player development. And then Yanko Popovich, he's our video coordinator.
So this is the group. Reminder, tomorrow night's game at 7 o'clock against Pittsburgh. Johnstown is free to the public. Parking is also free at John Paul Jones Arena. Do you have a final message for the fans?
Come to the games. And go Hoos.